Of course, if you want to, like, I mean, do whatever you want to. Listen to it
Right.
however you want to. Put
But
whatever
like
songs you want
they
to
put it in the order
that they
that they
wanted.
wanted it to be heard in. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Arsenic and Espresso, a podcast where we rarely drink coffee, but we always talk about metal music. I'm your host, Alice Arsenic. This is my co-host, Josh. And today we are going to be talking about our Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, we actually have a really exciting episode today. We're going to be talking about Spotify Wrapped. We're going to be talking about Finn McKenty. So as always, hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're new. And if you want to see more from us and you want to support us monetarily, there are links below on how you can do that. You can buy us a cup of coffee. There's also links for our mugs and other merch as well will be coming in the future. Yeah.
Cheers. All right, so Spotify. Every year, Spotify puts out their Spotify Wrapped, and it lets you know the kind of music you've been listening to, the artists you've supported the most, the genres you've been listening to the most. And I, for one, I was a little surprised, but also like not really surprised at my Spotify Wrapped.
I was really excited about my Spotify Wrapped this year because with two kids, typically it's my profile that we listen to all their music on. So I think like 2 years ago, nursery rhymes was my most played genre. And that's not the case this year. So
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally. I feel like the Spotify Wrapped gets a lot of hate. A lot of people are like, we don't care about your Spotify Wrapped. Nobody cares. I care. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's fun to see what you spent a lot of time doing in a year. And for myself, I have a terrible memory. I have a hard time, especially since everything in 2020. I have a really hard time keeping track of time and how much time has passed and what has happened. And so having Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year, it's just kind of a little nice way to remember everything.
Yeah.
And remember what I've been listening to. So like I said, I was a little bit surprised with mine, but not totally. Also, I will say the graphics this year for Spotify Wrapped were so terrible.
They're pretty lame.
Okay, and I just feel like it lends itself to like if you ever feel like you're underqualified for a job, just apply anyway because the person who did the graphics, no hate to them, but they were not very good.
They were underwhelming.
Very underwhelming. But also the verbiage they used. They were like, hey, queen, this is how you spent your year.
Yeah, that was one thing.
They tried so hard to like capture that like Gen Z
like TikTok
vibe.
Yeah. Yep.
It didn't work. It didn't work at all. It was so cringy.
I think
what do the youth say? Chuggy.
Chuggy?
It was chuggy.
Chuggy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we would be considered chuggy.
Chuggy? Okay.
Chuggy. C-H-U like G-E-Y or G-Y, something like that.
I think if you're questioning whether you're chuggy or not, you're probably
chuggy. Okay, so I spent 21,169 minutes listening, which is only 74% more than other listeners in the United States. I feel like that's pretty well rounded. I wish you could like fast forward it like how you can on TikTok now.
Yeah.
Okay, so my top song was Cruel World by Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum. If you don't know that band, it is fronted by Michael C. Hall, who plays Dexter. I don't even know how to describe their genre. It is like very David Bowie, The Cure meets like Meow Wolf art installation. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. The song is really, really fun. I only played that 60 times. I don't feel when they were like, that's your most played song. I felt like that was not a lot.
Yeah,
I expected way more.
Well, you listen to a lot more podcasts and things than
I do. I use Spotify for podcasting more than music listening. But I highly recommend Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum and especially the song Cruel World. It has like it definitely has like traditional goth inspiration in its sound. Yeah. The rest of the songs, not so much, but that song in particular, I don't know. I really, really like it. Okay, so my top 5 songs: Cruel World by Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum, Way Out There by Lord Huron, If I Had a Heart by Fever Ray, The Night We Met by Lord Huron, and When the Night Is Over by Lord Huron. My top artist, big surprise, was Lord Huron.
Big surprise.
I think I'm saying that right. There was no metal music in my top played anywhere.
You're a fraud. An absolute fraud.
I know. I really am. I at least expected Skinned to be on there, and I expected Skinned, I expected Architects, and I expected in my top 5 why am I drawing a blank? Oh my gosh. Spirit Box.
Oh yeah.
I expected Spirit Box.
Yeah.
But I was definitely like, I don't know. I definitely listened to just like indie,
I think this
depressing music a lot more.
This brings up like a really good topic though, because there's a lot of people. I mean, basically the gatekeepers in metal, right? That are like, oh, what? You listen to something that's not metal? You're obviously not a metalhead, which isn't the case at all, right? All of us, most of us, I would even say, have either guilty pleasures or we just enjoy metal, but it's not our number one genre, right? Or something like that. Or there's years when you listen to more metal than you don't, and I don't know.
And like that's normal. That's okay.
It's okay.
Well, we were even talking. We'll get to yours in a second, but like you pointed out you were in the top like what percentage of Demon Hunter listeners?
Oh, like 1%, I think is what it was. Or top 2%. So like I thought that was a lot, but we have like one of their songs on almost all of our playlists, or a couple of our songs, and then they're on our kids playlist as well,
multiple times on our oldest's playlist.
So that like totally makes sense. But then if you go to like their fan page, I realized that I actually don't listen to them very much, because everybody was posting. There's somebody who posted saying that they are showing that they listen to them like top 0.01%. I'm like, that's all you got to listen to.
That tells us you didn't listen to anything else. And in the moment I was like, oh my gosh, Demon Hunter is the Metallica of Christian metal. Because like the people who listen to Metallica don't listen to anything else. No, like,
and everything gets compared to them and everything.
And people are always like, oh, it's no Dimebag Daryl or whatever. And you're just like, okay, didn't say it was.
Right. And even though
I digress,
they are definitely my favorite band overall. I don't listen to them every day. I mean, I have shirts. I have different merch. We bought there. They did. You can see them over here somewhere, right there.
No sense of direction.
They put out a pretty cool like flash tattoo styled prints, and so I got those and everything. And so I mean, I'm definitely a big fan of theirs. But at the same time,
there's a lot of really fantastic music out there. As well.
Well, and it brought up some of the stuff that we've talked about with some of the like the super fans that come in when we talk about other bands like Ginger or Spirit Box or Falling in Reverse or like any of those bands that are pretty big. They have this like huge cult following where like that's all you guys listen to, and no hate there. But you have to recognize that like if you only listen to one band day in, day out, like Lord Huron. No, I'm just kidding. But if you only listen to one band day in, day out, then of course you're gonna know more than your average listener.
And the average bear. Yeah.
And so you can't like, I think that's what kind of drives me crazy is when we get some of those comments in that is like, how did you not know, that the lead singer eats waffles every Tuesday or whatever? And it's like, that's not normal for just your average.
Yeah. Your average listener doesn't know that much about the music they listen to. And that's normal. That's fine. We've talked about it a little bit on this channel, and I'm not going to delve too deep into it right now, but like there's a difference between being a fan and a super fan and a stalker, and the line between all three of those is actually like very, very thin and very, very vague. And I've always used Blue October fans as an example of like mega fans, borderline stalker fans. My mom is a huge Blue October fan. She has seen them in concert. I can't even count how many times. She has Justin Furstenfeld's signature tattooed on her arm. Like, she is a mega fan. But some of the people that she goes to their concerts with make her seem like not even a fan at all. Like, some of the people that she goes to these concerts with, they know the band members' birthdays. They know the band members' like extended family information. They know like where they vacation. They know tons of information about the band members' children, and like they talk about them as if they are their friends. And it crosses into stalker territory. And so, like I said, I'm not going to delve too deep into that. We can kind of just wrap that up in a bow and leave it as is. And if you want to talk more about it, we can have another video discussion about it. But like,
because I respect all the super fans out there, the mega fans that like know all of the lyrics,
and like the fans who go to like every single show and like they're there for absolutely everything. Yes,
the culture needs you guys.
Yes,
like absolutely. But yes,
but
the people that are in. Exactly, because the people that are in everybody's comment section, like death threats and stuff because they didn't know something about a band, like it's toxic.
Or like if you say, oh, you know, like I normally enjoy this kind of music, but that band didn't really do it for me. Or like, oh, I didn't like this song they released. I mean, we've taken down a couple of videos in the last 2 years of uploading where we've been like, oh, like it was fine, I guess. Not even really insulting the song or the band, being brutal, but the comments get out of control.
They do.
Like, they get so out of control so fast. And, like, personal attacks on us. Yeah. Which is just it's wild to me.
No. I think that's so interesting because you can tell, like, the quality of fans of a band because when you say something negative or even just something neutral about a band.
Yeah, not like, overly loving.
Yeah, you get like two different types, right? I always compare everybody to Ice Nine Kills fans because you guys are the best.
Yes, absolutely.
We've had a couple of reactions and a couple of reviews to Ice Nine Kills stuff where we're like, that didn't do it for me. I really don't get it. I don't like that song, whatever it is. And you guys are incredible, right? You're always like, oh man, I'm sorry, that was one of my favorite songs.
I've straight up said like I hate something.
Yeah.
And fans are like, oh, I'm kind of bummed you didn't like my favorite song, but also to each their own. And like, that's how it should be.
That's super cool.
That's how it should be.
Whereas there's other bands that we've posted and been like, I don't know why, I don't know what the hype is about. Like, this is okay. Or, this one just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, or just simply saying like, it's not going on our playlist and people are like, fuck you guys. And we're like, oh, okay.
Some of y'all get angry and you need to chill.
They're like, I hope you get hit by a bus later. And you're just like, oh my God.
It's true.
You should probably switch from coffee to like tea.
Yeah. Drink some tea.
Get some sleepy time tea. Like, y'all need to chill.
Yes.
Anyway, back to Spotify. So speaking of Lord Huron, because I know everyone here wants to hear more about not metal music, I was in the top 0.5% of listeners for Lord Huron this last year.
Way to go.
So I'm going to gloat in that for a little bit.
Mega fan over here.
I know, as I'm just saying, like, don't be weird. Don't be creepy, guys. I am the creepy one.
What were your top genres?
My top genres.
Because I think that's a better...
this one kind of cracks me up. So my top genres definitely have the influence of our oldest son's playlist on it a little bit more than yours.
Yeah.
So my number one genre was indie folk.
Nice. Yeah.
And I didn't think any metal made it on my top 5, but it did. My number 2 genre was metalcore. So that makes a little bit more sense. Number 3 was Christian rock.
Yeah.
Our oldest is super obsessed with Demon Hunter and Skillet. Right now. I have a lot to say about Skillet, but I'm not going to in this video. We can another time. But so like he's super obsessed with those and they're on every playlist. Number 4 was soundtrack, and I'm trying to figure out what album I listened to that's the soundtrack of something. I'm going to have to look. And number 5 was dance pop, which makes a lot of sense as well because I still love, I love Lady Gaga. I love Lady Gaga.
Super fan over here. No.
Now I want to hold on. I want to see. I just need to look at like the stuff I've played. Okay, so like the dance pop, I listen to Churches a lot. It's they're Scottish like dance pop.
Yeah.
I also listened to a lot of Harry Styles. So I think it was Lady Gaga and Harry Styles, mostly Harry Styles actually this year, pop music wise. I listened to some Olivia Rodrigo, and by some, I mean I listened to that one song that got popular on TikTok.
So even though those were your tops, I feel like because your top song was only played 60 times,
I had a wide variety.
You had a lot of songs that were played like 45, 50 times.
It said I listened to 521 artists.
Yeah. That's way better than
so like that's
years
really
past.
Good. Yeah. Years
way
past
better.
It's been like 7.
Yeah. You did really, really good. So my top genres were, can you guess it first? Metalcore.
No surprise
no
there.
surprise there. Christian rock was number 2. 3 was punk. That's gonna be heavily influenced by our son's playlist.
Yes. Yes, he has discovered that he really likes punk and like pop punk music,
right.
and it's
Blink
super
182,
fun.
MGK, a few others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has a bunch of those on his playlist. And then number 4 was Detroit hip hop.
That's so specific.
Right?
That's so specific. Also, the name of some of the genres that people have been posting, I'm like, how? Who picks these?
Yes.
Who picks the name for these?
Yes. Well,
because some of them are really specific.
There's no genre that's Eminem, so they just have to be as specific as possible. So, but
that's hilarious.
And then number 5 is nu metal, surprisingly. But I guess that's because I mean I enjoy nu metal, but I don't listen to it a whole lot. But I guess like Linkin Park falls under
Linkin Park is on a lot of our playlists.
Nu metal, so yeah. R.I.P. there.
What was your top played song?
Oh yeah. So this is actually something interesting, and I want to know if you guys ran into the same thing or not. I saw somebody else's Wrapped pop up, and they had a very similar thing. So my most played song was Dark Bloom by We Came as Romans. I like that song. It was a good song, maybe even a great song. I favorited it, but I wouldn't say that it's like the best song of the year.
Is it on any of your playlists?
It's on none of my playlists, but
shady.
Every single time an album ends or a playlist ends, this song comes on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know what they did or how, Spotify is just feeding them the algorithm. But yeah, it comes on every single time an album ends.
How many times did you listen to it?
137 times, which is insane. Because I like We Came as Romans. For a song that's
not on one of your playlists, though. Like, it makes me think that there is some sort of paid marketing that's happening that maybe we don't know about. As great as Spotify is, there are definitely some areas that are a little bit shady.
Yeah.
Even down to like how artists get paid and all of those kinds of things. Well,
and I wouldn't even say that Spotify is great. Spotify is just okay. Like, it serves its purpose if you're a premium member, right? If you're not a premium member, terrible.
It's a garbage app.
It is so terrible. But like the user interface is awful.
Which is funny because it's better.
It's way better than it was 2 years ago. Yeah. But I remember switching from Spotify to, switching from Pandora to Spotify.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, I have to pay for this service, otherwise it's garbage. And so I paid for the service, and then it was better than what Pandora offered. But still, like, it's the user interface for like mobile apps, it was so difficult to actually find an artist, like unless you knew exactly how to spell or exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah, if you have any type of dyslexia, it's like we don't know what you're talking about.
And then even someone like the small bands that we've looked up, that's tough to look up on Spotify sometimes. I have to scroll through.
And then randomly, like there will be songs that are just not playable on Spotify, and they don't necessarily give you a reason. For a long time, I thought it had to do with explicit content. And it doesn't. It does appear that it has something to do with like copyright, but it's not consistent.
Yeah.
So like you'll have albums. So okay, perfect example, the soundtracks. So one of my favorite soundtracks is from The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Love the soundtrack. It is fantastic. Over half of that soundtrack is unplayable on Spotify.
Oh, weird.
Right. But then you have, and I mean, this is wildly drastic, but then you have every Disney song ever created for any Disney film ever is playable on Spotify. And Disney's contracts for copyright are like so they're really airtight contracts when it comes to their copyright infringement laws. Like, Disney is not playing around. Disney does not want you using anything that they have used ever.
Yeah.
And they make it really impossible for people to use any sort of content that also has Disney stuff in it. So, like, to me, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, why can't I play the entire soundtrack of The Great Gatsby?
Because I remember seeing that on a few different things. I think Korn has some earlier albums that like only half the songs are available. And I don't know if it's maybe just a licensing thing. Maybe they didn't pay for the licensing or something. I don't know. But then also, I think Taylor Swift like boycotted Spotify for a while, right? She said that she didn't want her stuff there because, of course, like she wasn't getting paid the same that she would through other sources or through just album sales and things like that, which I think is fair. I think it takes artists that are big to like stand up to places like Spotify and things to make some sort of a change. And I actually want to tie this into Finn McKenty's take though, because so I told you about that video, and
we'll link the video down below.
Yeah, we'll link the video down below. And first off, I just gotta say, Finn McKenty is spot on so many things. I think that he brings a huge net positive to the culture, to the scene, to everything that is punk rock and metal music, and hardcore music. I think that the value that he brings is so huge. He has such a huge knowledge base, but every now and then he has some takes where I'm like, I don't agree with that at all. And so this he uploaded a video just a couple of days ago on his second channel, talking about Adele. And it's titled, I'll link it over here, or I'll put the thumbnail over here. But it's the thumbnail says, "Don't be like Adele," and it's like super negative.
That's pretty clickbaity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he's the king of clickbait though, and honestly, to survive,
deny it either.
To survive on YouTube, you gotta know how to clickbait. Because he never bait and switches, right? He talks about what he's talking about, but he does really good clickbait. So, anyways, yeah, he talks about how Adele forced Spotify to get rid of the random play button, or the shuffle play button.
The automatic shuffle play.
Yeah, automatic shuffle play. And this is something that I've hated about Spotify since switching to Spotify. And that was that there's no just click play for an album. Right? If you search an album, and it's uploaded, or it's so when you search an album and you click play, the automatic, or what it did automatically before is that it was a shuffle play button, so it would just shuffle play.
It would just pick a random song to start on.
And I don't like that at all.
Me neither. Me neither.
And the reason why, I mean, yes, I do like shuffle play. I love doing shuffle play when I'm looking at a playlist, or when I just want to listen to like one artist in particular. I'll hit shuffle play.
Like their whole discography or something. Yeah. Definitely
I'll hit shuffle play on that. But especially when like a new album comes out, I want to listen to it from the beginning to the end.
Yep.
Because for me, a lot of value of like how I would rate an album goes into the playthrough of the whole album, right? If it's just like a 4-song EP, who cares? Just listen to the songs.
But a lot of times though, there's so much intention behind how songs are ordered on an album, even on a 4-song EP.
I guess that's true.
Take a look at Bring Me the Horizons.
Oh, right.
Human survival. What is it?
Survival horror.
Human survival horror. Something. What is it? Post-human survival horror.
That's the one.
Good Lord. Even though that's an EP, there's only 7 songs?
Yeah.
Like the playthrough of it
was very specific.
It was very specific.
Yeah.
Each song like prepped you for the next song.
Well, and then the way that it ended especially, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, yeah, if I just hit shuffle play, that
it would not have the same effect.
Would not have the same effect, especially. Yeah. Each song is still great on shuffle. That's fine. But the EP as a whole, wouldn't sound the same. And a lot of albums, there's a lot of albums with intros, right? Which totally don't make any sense. And I know how Finn McKenty feels about intros. He just says, forget the intro, just get to the music. But
I love a good intro.
Right, I agree.
I love a good intro. I love a good outro. What album is that?
Trivium?
Nope. Hold on. It's old. Good heavens.
Okay.
Hold on. So one of the first albums that I ever noticed that there was an intro and an outro was Breaking Benjamin's Phobia from 2006. There's an intro and an outro. All it is footsteps, it's rain, it's a door opening and closing.
Right.
Very simple. It's a few seconds long. But like in that album, it leads into The Diary of Jane perfectly.
Yeah. Well, and like all of Trivium's albums have an excellent intro, which is just an extended version of their first song, basically. Yes. Like it
Cradle of
bleeds
Filth
into that
does
first
the
one.
same thing.
Cradle of Filth, yeah. The new Starset album, that album's incredible, but each song bleeds into the next, and so you can't shuffle that. It just doesn't make sense. It sounds weird. If you haven't listened to the new Starset album, you should. as somebody who loves like hardcore vocals, extreme vocals, like I love deathcore over everything. Link to the mug below. But that album has like 3 songs on it where there are harsh vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an incredible album. I think it might be
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite albums of the year. But it's just because of how it's set up, like from start to finish. There's no bad song, and I can listen to it from start to finish, the way that it was intended, and like really enjoy every song on that. Which I think, yeah, if it was just shuffle play all the time, and yes, you can go. You there is a way, right? Before this update happened, there was a way to just play it from start to finish, right? But the point being is I never understood why shuffle play was your first option.
Was the automatic option.
And not the way that the artist intended for you to listen to their song was the first option. And then if you wanted to shuffle it, you could.
Well, and even now, like I was looking at Spotify earlier today, and even now, like if you start an album, but like if what you were listening to the last time was on shuffle, it will start the album on shuffle.
Yeah.
So like it's not like this feature completely went away.
Right.
Like if your Spotify, you were listening to something on random, it's going to start the next album on random. That's just how it's going to be. But if you specifically search an album or one of your playlists and you hit play, it's simply going to start at the beginning of your playlist now.
Yeah.
And like Spotify on the smart TV does that. It always starts at the beginning. You can't start it on random.
Yeah.
Which our oldest kid is always like, can we put Spotify, his playlist on the TV? And it always has to start at the beginning, and then we hit random, or we have to like click through each song and find the song he wants to start on or whatever.
Right.
You know, so like there is a downside to both, but it is weird that I just think Spotify is very slow to change things.
It is.
Even when the users are like, hey, we want it this way. Hey, we want it this way. Hey,
Yeah.
we really want it this way. They just don't listen.
Yeah.
And Spotify is like, what are you going to do? Go to Apple Music?
Right. Well,
You know?
and then that's the thing. And that's, I think, so Finn talked about, you know, that it didn't make sense to take away the shuffle play button. But then also more importantly, I think he was trying to get at, he doesn't like that Spotify changed based on a singular artist telling them to change.
And I don't necessarily think that it was a singular artist. I think Adele
Agree.
simply has one of the loudest voices in the music industry right now, regardless of what genre you listen to. And I think, honestly, if it was something that concerned her enough, there were probably a handful of other people who were like, God, this is annoying. And she was like, well, I could probably do something about it. Like,
Right.
I have the pull. I mean, it kind of cracks me up. Us common folk all the time will be complaining about things, and like on Twitter we'll be tagging celebrities and be like, if you cared, you would do something to change this thing, whether big or small, whether it's like a serious topic or a not serious topic. Like people always reach out to celebrities to like create the change that we're hoping for, because these celebrities, not only do they have the monetary pull, but they have a platform to make a difference.
Yeah.
But then when they use that platform to make a difference and they change something, people are like,
who do they think they are?
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just like, no,
I agree.
people asked for this. People reached out to these celebrities for their clout, not for their clout, but for their like
their power.
For their power.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think especially when it's something that affects how the masses perceive somebody's art, I think that's a really huge deal, right? If it's any other art form, it's the same way, right? If there's a way that you can present your art the way that you want to, and that be the like the standard, I think that all artists will agree and say, yeah, I would like that. I mean, I can't help but think that Bring Me the Horizon would want the same thing, right? Would want you to listen to the EP start to finish first. And then, of course, if you want to, like, I mean, do whatever you want to. Listen to it however you want to. Put whatever songs you want to.
They put it in the order
that they wanted
it to be heard in.
And I'm sure there's I mean, I know that there's handfuls of albums out there that, like, it doesn't matter if you put it on random or not.
But there's a lot that do. I think Flesh God Apocalypse is a really great example of that. A lot of the songs, the end to one song is literally the start to the next one. So we talk about a lot of times like songs bleeding into one another, but the Flesh God Apocalypse like flow through, you need the ending of the previous song to start the beginning of the next one. And if you try and start it without it, it it's very jarring and it's very sudden, and it doesn't necessarily sound
Doesn't
good.
do the same thing. Yeah.
Right? Like you need that introduction from the previous song.
Or even like the order of the new Ice Nine Kills album,
Yes.
right? They have an intro, which you can argue if they needed the intro or not. I know a lot of people don't like intros, but they have just a basic intro. But then the first real song on it is Welcome to Horrorwood, which sets the stage. It doesn't talk. It
literally tells you what to expect.
Yeah. Exactly. It sets the stage. It's not one of the songs that talks about a movie, right? It's just the intro song. And so, yeah, you can totally listen to that album on shuffle if you wanted to, but like the way that it makes most sense is in order. So
even the new Spirit Box album.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's
true.
Yes,
No, that too. Which was an incredible album, and I felt like they had the softer songs at key points. Whereas if you just got like all soft songs at the beginning and then all hard songs at the end, like
it would be imbalanced.
It wouldn't have the right balance, right?
Yeah.
And so they put thought into that. They put energy into that, and so I think having an artist being like, "Hey, I would like my art to be heard and presented the way that I wanted it to be as like the default." And then if they want to do something other than that, they are allowed to. But I would just like that to be the default. I don't think that that's too much. I don't think that's asking too much.
I don't think that's asking too much.
I
don't think it's abusing their power because other artists and other media or other mediums rather have demanded the same sort of thing. I was just on my time hop throwback today. It was like, oh, this many years ago we learned that. Hold on, which painting was it? In 1961. After 47 days of hanging in a museum or in the Museum of Modern Art, someone finally realized that Henri Matisse's La Bateau was indeed upside down. So, like artists have an intention. There's a reason behind what they're doing. And when the public is interpreting it wrong, the artist, in my opinion, has every right to come back and be like, no, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
This is the correct way.
Well, and then
even
also,
though Matisse wasn't the one who said it was wrong, but
But
still.
But also, I think that the artist should be able to, like, on any platform, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify or whatever, Apple Music, like the artist should have some sort of input, right?
Yes.
If they're noticing that like some sort of user interface error is occurring or something is not promoting them the best way, like for instance, Spotify, and I'm just going to go back to it, Spotify is trash user interface.
Yeah.
It is not great. The discoverability for like new artists is absolutely terrible. I look all the time on the little section that says like what's new for you or whatever. And
it'll be albums from 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's albums from way long time ago. And it's like I've also already listened to this album like 3 times in the last week. So this is not new to me. You know?
Or you'll listen to kind of a one-off song, and then for the next 3 months, it's like, oh, these playlists were designed for you based off this one song that you didn't even favorite.
Yeah. So I think the user interface in particular for and the algorithm for Spotify has a lot of improvement necessary, not just the shuffle play button. And so I think when Finn talks about like that the shuffle play button was fine, I feel like he's giving Spotify way too much credit. And he talks about,
I think it was laziness on their part more than anything.
Well, and he talks about how like there's a person who's hired and has a job to like create this user interface, and when you as an artist make demands, it makes their job like less valuable or whatever. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I mean, so like, I mean, and I get it because he does have, I do understand that he has a like a respect for people in the music industry on that side of things, because that's what he did a lot of, not necessarily programming, but he did a lot of like visual art and things, I believe, for like artists in the metal industry, in the DIY scene and all that sort of stuff. So like he was one of those like integral parts that like people trusted him for his professional view of like how things should be presented.
But also if within your contract or whatever, you are asking the visual marketing to present something in a certain way. So like I'm going to use the beauty industry for example, because that's the field I work in. So these brands will reach out to, whether it is users on Instagram, they will reach out to stores like Ulta, Sephora, and have a specific set of rules to follow to promote the brand. And if the Instagram pages, if the YouTubers, if the stores themselves are not following those guidelines, the brand will pull themselves from the store.
Yeah.
They will pull themselves from the Instagram user. They will no longer collaborate with that YouTube content creator, simply because they are saying, this is our brand standard. And if you're falling beneath this brand standard, we are just not going to work with you.
Yeah.
That goes in every single field.
Mm-hmm.
If what you as the person employed
Mm-hmm.
are doing is not up to the company standard, to the brand standard, to the brand partner standard, you will most likely be pulled from that contract.
Right.
So the fact that Adele was like, hey, I make you guys millions of dollars, and you are not presenting my content in the way that I prefer it to be presented, you need to change it or I will. She probably threatened to pull stuff from the platform.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, probably like, hey, you're not presenting my work in the way I intend it to be presented.
Mm-hmm.
Change it, or I will pull myself from this platform. And the fact is Adele has a huge pull in the music industry across the board. So she could have probably also threatened to have her other celebrity musician friends pull their music from the platform.
Well, I mean, she's a huge artist, so all it takes is like I'll make a contract specifically with like Apple Music or whatever it is, and Spotify doesn't want to lose that money. That's a huge amount of people.
Yeah, even simply just threatening to like talk trash about the app.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
any of that.
If she came out on Twitter and was just like, Spotify sucks.
Yeah.
All of her followers would be like, unsubscribing to Spotify. I will uninstall the app.
She not only has super fans, but a lot of toxic fans too, that can do her bidding on social media and all that sort of stuff as well, which is kind of going back to what we started with this whole conversation with. But yeah, so I don't know. I completely disagree with Finn McKenty on this one. That doesn't mean that he's not a credible source for music, news, and industry opinion and everything. But I definitely think he was off on this one. This was a bad take.
I think so too. And I think acknowledging his experience in the music industry, it also simply comes down to contracts. And like, he would know this. He would know this as someone who was hired to do marketing. He would know how these contracts are. And like, I mean, even when we were doing our mugs, when we reached out to someone, we were like, hey, like, we would love to pay you for some artwork, like we would love to create a logo together. This person, what they sent us was not at all what we wanted. And we were like, that's not what we had in mind. And when we came back saying, oh, we were kind of thinking something more along the lines of XYZ, this person was like, oh, well, that's not how I do stuff.
Right.
And we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, then we're not going to work together.
Yeah, and we still paid him what we agreed upon to begin with, to pay him for the service. But then
because they did perform a service, we just ended up not liking it.
I didn't like it, so I said nah, and we went a different direction. And I think that's exactly the same sort of mentality.
And I mean, simply being like, yes, you as the person with the service provided, like, you retain the right to refuse service. You retain the right to say, like, no, this is not my style. This is not what I do, blah, blah, blah. But when you are such a large platform like Spotify, and you have such a mega artist complaining about something, like, you're probably going to listen, because losing that contract could be detrimental.
Right.
Versus the artist who we were in contact with for our mugs, it was a very small sum of money. Like, losing our business was not detrimental to them.
No, not at all. So yeah, no, and there's no harm either way, really.
Right.
And so I think what I wish though would happen is, I wish that small artists were big enough, which is silly because that's an oxymoron, to have that same pull, because the discoverability for small artists is insanely low on apps like Spotify. I should be able to just click a genre like metalcore, go to latest, and find out every single album or single that's dropped in the last week, and go through that if I wanted to, but I can't do that. That's not the way Spotify works. And it should be catering towards them. I think still your algorithm, your homepage should have the stuff that's promoted, the stuff that people are liking the most. That makes sense, right? Because that's still the idea for those small artists to get on somebody's homepage, like their For You page, for lack of better words. But there should be a way for me to search new artists. If I want to look at somebody who has no no following, because a lot of these bands that have no following are really dang good.
Yeah, but they have no following.
But they have no
Yeah.
following. I should be able to find them without having to scour, you know, millions of Facebook pages
Well,
just
and
trying
it's
to find
something
them.
like it's something that does exist because you can search hashtags on Instagram, you can search
Mhm.
hashtags on YouTube, you can search like really specific tags on these other platforms. So like
Yeah.
it's not an impossible thing to provide, but like
Right.
I said, I think Spotify is very slow to change. I think they kind of do their best to ignore what their users are asking for.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason this particular change with a shuffle play button, as dramatic as this situation is, I think the only reason it changed is because it was someone as big as Adele.
Yep.
And even if I would go as far as saying, even if like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other smaller, not even like underground, but just like smaller
Right.
artists compared to Adele banded together and were like, hey, we don't like this, Spotify would be like, what are you going to do?
Right.
What are you going to do about it?
Like, cool. Yeah. Because it's there's that like mutual accountability, right? It's like, yes, they can threaten to take their stuff off of Spotify, but at the same time, like if
what
they
would
have a
Spotify
million
lose? Yeah.
views every month on Spotify, like those bands probably want that income from Spotify too.
Yes.
So it's put in a rock in a hard place basically.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I think that what happened with Adele and Spotify is a great thing, and I
Mhm.
wish that they were more open to more ideas, because their app sucks.
It does.
But
It
we're all
really
kind of stuck
does.
with it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah. They're like, but you get Spotify Wrapped out of it.
right. So anyways,
Anyway, that was a very long-winded.
it was a bit, but there was a lot that I wanted to say.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't think there was a lot I wanted to say.
I know, I figured it was
had
gonna
way
be like
more
a 5
opinions
minute.
than I thought I did.
But
But thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to us rant about Spotify. Let us know what your top genres and songs were.
mhm.
0.5% of Lord Huron listeners right here. Let us know who your top artist was, and let us know what you think about the Spotify shuffle play drama. Is it something that you care about? Do you think it's a big deal? Do you think Adele overstepped her or abused her power rather?
Mhm.
Or do you think that Spotify sucks as much as we think it sucks?
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to talk about: album reviews. I have listened to a ton of the new albums this year as they've come out, and have wanted to do album reviews, but our schedules just haven't been lining up exactly to do consistent album reviews. So if it's a band that that is one of those bands that I particularly like more than Alice, would you guys want me to still upload if it was a solo upload, or do you want me to just wait on those things or just scrap those ideas unless Alice is involved as well? Because I'd be happy to upload some more solo stuff as well. Let
Yeah.
me know.
Let us know what you want to see, and we will see you next time.